day of Spanish 1 at Cardinal Spellman High School in the northeast section of the Bronx. The teacher asked the class if anyone spoke Spanish at home. 3 of us raised our hands. I am dark-skinned with kinky hair, and the other 2 girls had light brown complexions with loosely curled hair. She asked the 3 of us to approach her desk. Without asking us any questions about our background, she immediately sent the other 2 girls to the foreign language department to request a transfer to an advanced Spanish class. I, however, was told to sit down. The term Afro-Latinidad has recently become a common term in discussions of ethnicity. My Afro-Latinidad is defined by being from Honduras and of Garifuna and Jamaican descent. Both of my parents were born in Honduras, Central America, and they are both Black. I grew up eating tortillas with fried eggs, refried beans, and crema for breakfast. I grew up listening to salsa, hip hop, and the Honduran Garifuna traditional music called punta. I grew up with my mother speaking only Spanish to me. I never had to think about my Latinidad and Blackness because both managed to coexist in my home without constrictions and explanations. When the Spanish teacher told me to sit back down, I was confused. My upbringing and my Catholic schooling taught me to trust my teachers. But the Spanish teacher's immediate dismissal unsettled me in a way I could not articulate as a high school freshman. I felt embarrassed because all the students in the class saw me walk to the teacher's desk with the 2 light-complexioned students, then watched me sit back down by myself. What I always knew about myself, about my culture, and my identity was negated by the simple act of being told to sit down. Without a glance at my test scores or even a conversation to evaluate my proficiency, the teacher determined with a narrow white gaze that the 13-year-old standing before her with dark skin and kinky hair was not Latino enough to be transferred to an advanced Spanish class, and she told me to sit back down. The other kids in my Spanish 1 class had absolutely no exposure to Spanish or culture at home, and the teacher's lessons consisted of how to say, buenos dias. Esto es un lápiz. Hola, adios, hasta pronto. The non-Spanish speaking students responded with an American inflection, not me. I never studied for a test, and I always scored perfectly. As you might imagine, my classmates wanted me to join in their group projects because they knew their projects would be scored perfectly too. It was flattering, of course. But sitting in that classroom was demeaning. I knew I was being used for my knowledge, but I was never acknowledged for it. When I spoke with the 2 light-complexioned girls about their advanced Spanish class, they told me how they were learning how to write research papers and how they were speaking only Spanish in the classroom. Not me. Not the one who lived in a conversational Spanish environment. The one whose mother only spoke Spanish to her, who had pen pals in Honduras, who ate tortillas and refried beans with fried eggs for breakfast, who was obviously beyond learning how to say hola and hasta pronto. And although that Spanish teacher saw the effortless grades I produced, she never considered moving me forward. Ultimately, I spent my 4 years at Cardinal Spellman High School not identifying myself in any way. I had no language, I had no culture. I had no hip hop or tortillas, no punta or crema. Me sentía como un barco sin pasajeros, navegando en el gran océano. I felt like a boat, aimlessly floating on water without passengers, floating through my Spanish class and around my high school building without anyone knowing who I am.